When you live in a colder climate, like I do at the moment, your coat becomes pretty much your outfit for the entire winter. So I wanted to share some of my favorite ways to style winter coats. Different kinds, different silhouettes that you likely already have in your closet and you've had for years. And hopefully these give you some ideas to either refresh your winter coats or make you feel not so miserable that you might be living in tundra-like climates. Before we jump on in, I just want to say that I still have tickets available to my live Shop Your Closet studio. This is a really fun event if you're interested in shopping your closet. If you're on a no buy or a low buy, it is a fantastic event. We run through live real-time styling with two really amazing guests, and we talk a lot about elements of style. So how to break fashion and your closet into elements of style so that you learn how to shop less. Tickets and everything are in the description box below. Now let's jump on in. Coat number one, very, very classic and my favorite, the pea coat. No matter the hem length or whether it's a single-breasted or double-breasted, what typically defines the pea coat is this like very classic lapel and these almost like militaristic style vibes. There's a lot of like really clean, sleek lines, minimal detail, and a very tailored and streamlined silhouette. So knowing those elements, how can we take those elements to make the pea coat more interesting? The first thing that I always look at is proportions and silhouette. So in terms of my pea coat, it's hitting me mid-thigh. So I want to be really careful about the proportions of the boots that I'm wearing. Because the pea coat itself is really sleek and tailored, I find it makes it very versatile in terms of what footwear I can wear with it. I can go with something a little bit sleeker and streamlined, and my look won't feel so top heavy because the coat itself is also really streamlined. So that will give it more of a very classic and timeless, chic, sort of French-inspired vibe if you keep the rest of your look really tailored and minimal. I personally would only go with something that has more volume on the bottom, like a longer pant, if it also has some elements of tailoring or a very sleek silhouette as well. On the other hand, I think you can also really rock a chunky boot or a boot that has more visual heft and weight to it. And that's because we're kind of contrasting now with the silhouette and also the proportions. The only thing is, if your pea coat is on the shorter side like mine, I would make sure that the boot itself is also a little bit more sleek and tapered so that it creates a nice long line. If I were to go with a chunky boot as well as a voluminous or like chunkier pant, I think we would really lose the effect of the nice sleek lines of the pea coat. So it's really important to watch those proportions and silhouettes. I also love a short or long pea coat with a really short skirt. I think as long as the hem of the skirt is hitting either at the hem or above the hem of your pea coat, you can have a really like sharp and interesting look. It kind of adds a little bit of that juxtaposition of femininity and like sex appeal with something really harsh and sleek and militaristic. I would avoid styling it with something that is really long, like a maxi length or even a midi length, simply because again, you're creating a lot of these horizontal lines at the bottom of the body. However, if you love a solid midi length skirt, then keep it in the same color palette as your footwear. So at least you're creating a nice long line and a similar block of color on the bottom half of your body, and you're not breaking up your lower half too much. For example, my slip skirt here is a really contrasting color to the pea coat, and added with the total difference in silhouette, like that kind of flowiness. There's just too much going on here. The high contrast in color, the sheen and the different textures. I think this just looks a little bit disjointed. When it comes to just winter accessories for the pea coat, again, I love to keep it kind of clean and sleek and in line, but I just feel like it can look a little bit goofy if you're pairing this clean classic piece with like, you know, one of those like cutesy toques or gloves that feel a little bit too wintry. Like I think this should really be like a refined look. If you are gonna to pair, like if you need a nice big warm pair of mittens, then I would still look for some refined details, maybe some quilting, maybe some faux fur edging or anything like that, or real fur if it's secondhand or recycled or repurposed. But I would definitely make sure that anything that you're pairing with your pea coat keeps in line with that kind of minimal aesthetic, which is really like these high impact details, but that are very understated. I think all bags work with a pea coat, from a sleek backpack to a crossbody to a little top handle. The world is really your oyster with this coat. It's a classic. Okay, next up I'm going to talk about this little guy right here. I think a lot of us have maybe accumulated some sort of shorter jacket, and this goes for warmer weather climates as well. Like maybe you're wearing more of a bomber or a moto for the winter in a warmer climate, and I think the same principles of silhouette and proportion apply to this as well. So when I have a chunkier, shorter coat, the first, and in my opinion, best silhouette to pair it with is something really nice and A-line and long and wide leg on the bottom. Even like a boot cut silhouette is fantastic. We're talking jeans, boot cut trousers, wide leg trousers. So if you are longer waisted, it's really nice to pair a jacket like this with a higher waist. You get this really cool, like long lean effect on the legs, this kind of really interesting 70s vibe, but a shorter waisted torso could work really well with this as well. Just change up the waistline of the pants. Because these coats have so much texture, there's already so much visually happening with this coat. So I would keep accessories either in the same color family, or if you want a contrasting color, I would keep them really sleek, close to the body. I probably would even forego a scarf because this collar is like so big. Definitely make sure that the coat is kind of the star of the look. I often find that a shoulder bag is too difficult because it's too bulky, it always falls off. So I look for a bag that I can wear underneath the coat as a crossbody. So I can still be hands-free, it looks kind of cool, and I don't have to worry about it falling off my shoulder. Okay, I've got two long coats for you. I think they're gonna hit sort of both of whatever you have at home. The first is a little bit similar to our pea coat, except long. So this is just a long, tailored wool coat. I think a lot of us have maybe purchased these thinking, okay, this will be the coat that I wear with dresses or when I'm going out a little bit more fancy. But this coat can be styled for everyday wear in winter. I think it adds such a beautiful polished effect on days when you are really feeling not polished because winter is annoying. I think here, because it's nice and long, you can actually go with longer, more languid and voluminous textures and silhouettes underneath. Similarly, because this is coming pretty close to the ground, like a midi or ankle length on some people, I think being really careful about your footwear is important here. If you've got a boot that has a lot of visual heft, then what's really important here, at least for me, what I find is most flattering is if the shaft of the boot disappears underneath the hem of the coat and underneath the hem of whatever you're wearing. Maybe you're wearing like a midi length skirt or a dress or something. That way we're not breaking up the eye, and it also feels a little bit more intentional, and it balances out the length of the coat with the heft of the boot. You can also get away with just a really nice, sleek and minimal and low profile boot as well, and it will still look just as good. In terms of accessorizing this, bags, you can kind of do whatever you want, like dealer's choice, crossbody. I've worn a backpack with this and it looks fine. When it comes to matching the colors, it's just so much simpler to keep two sort of sets of accessories on hand in neutrals, because that way you're allowed to kind of play with your coat colors a little bit more and you don't have to worry about constantly matching all of the different accessories. Actually, this next coat that I'm going to show has sort of two elements that I think are really interesting, so I'll take it from both. This coat, gorgeous. This is actually from Croatia. Beautiful local designer. They sent it to me. It's 100% wool and it's fully lined. I'm going to link it for you down below, but I really wanted to show it because it has a lot of interesting elements that I think can perhaps overwhelm us or intimidate us when it comes to winter styling. So if we're looking at this from a proportion perspective, we've got to be a little bit careful because there's a lot going on here. Big volume up and down, and then a kind of long line. So the way I would style this is either open on a warmer day so that it creates creates a really beautiful column over whatever I'm wearing. I would juxtapose this with, again, something sleek underneath, either like a tapered or structured pant or something that has a lot of nice, beautiful tailoring, like a trouser. I also think though, because of the volume of this coat, you can get away with, say, a wide leg pant or a pant or a dress that has a little bit more of that flow and movement. They just work really well together and it creates a more harmonious look. When it comes to boots, you're gonna want a boot that disappears up the hem of this coat if possible. And if you don't, what I would do is keep whatever you're wearing on the bottom half in the same color as your boot. That way you get that nice long line disappearing up and you're balancing out the volume of the shoes with the volume of the coat. The other really big element about this coat, which maybe some of you have in your closets, I do get a lot of people being like, I bought this bright red coat and I'm way too scared to wear it because it's this crazy color. Here's the beauty about winter. This is like the majority of what people see, so you don't have to worry so much about what's going on underneath. Again, what I would worry about more in terms of making this color work is how you've got neutrals mixed into your accessories so that it's gonna work with everything. Don't be intimidated by color, especially in the winter. I think we've got to inject some life and fun. Just wear it over whatever you want, and then when you take it off, you've got a whole coordinated outfit underneath. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know actually if you would like a video about coats just in general in terms of what to look for a good quality coat in the winter. I think we still have time in the season for that. I can also do perhaps like a little short video on it instead because like it's probably very quick and easy points to hit. So let me know if you want to see that in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you learned something new, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you so much for being here. Honestly, it really means a lot. Don't forget I have those tickets to my live Shop Your Closet studio on February 4th and I will be back with another slow fashion video. Thank you for watching. Ciao.